Hi, and welcome back to my channel. And today I want to talk a little bit about ChatGPT because I receive constantly some question about how I use ChatGPT on everyday work. And especially some people gives me specific question and sometimes about complete code generation. So the ability for ChatGPT to generate a complete part of code. So just give specification and get out the files you need to include in your solution. Actually, you can find an example in this chat that will be included in the video. And this is a C# entity framework setup in which I ask a prompt. I ask him to create an instance of customer, three customer, create unit test, and gave a schema. And so you can see I gave a simple text schema and let everything be generated by ChatGPT. And if the prompt is quite specific, it is quite easy to get a pretty decent result. It gives me all the package I need to install in my C# solution, and it starts designing the class for me. And then it explain me how I can add migration and update database to generate the first schema in the database. And then it start creating unit tests for me. As you can see, it has a list of a series of to do. So sometimes it happens that when you ask GPT to generate a long range of classes and unit tests, it starts generating some sort of skeleton of code like this one, and then simply add a placeholder where you need actually to generate the code. This is not usually a problem because you can simply say, first of all, I can ask questions such as, are you sure that order line correctly uses order ID and line number as primary key? So I've specified that I want a table with a two-field composite primary key, and it confirmed that yes, the order line entity is correctly configured with the model builder entity. So you can ask things, you can ask question to the ChatGPT and have it answer and reassuring you that the code is indeed what you want. But since I want to type less code than possible, I start asking to implement create customer with orders. Please output only generated code, not explanation or text. So I have a skeleton method where ChatGPT write a to-do and ask me to write the code. But if you continue the chat asking to implement the function, it will gladly implement the function with you and for you. And this is, as example, a text. And then I can continue asking, please implement all remaining to-dos. Output only the code, not any text. And so you can see that actually it creates all the to-do. I check and I continue. It seems that create and retrieve customer and orders is missing. And it will gladly create the test for me. Now it comes the annoying part, because you should now take all this piece of code and copy and paste into your favorite editor of choice, Visual Studio Code or Visual Studio. And so I'm continually asking modifications. So I change order status to be an enum and so on and blah, blah, blah. And finally, I'm trying to do a trick. Can you write all generated code into files, zip the files, and then make me download the result? And it simply gave me that it is unable to create files or facilitate direct download. The only thing that ChatGPT can do to simplify my work is telling me where should I put all the data. So it is actually recreating a series of specification where for each section, it gives me the files and it gives me what I need to save inside the file. And actually, I've used this technique in the past because I can use the API to interact with this with ChatGPT and then parse the result, identify the files, and then write the files on disk using C# code. But actually, there is a most interesting trick you can use using GPT-4 functionalities that can allow you to obtain this result without writing any code. If you have GPT-4 enabled because you have a premium account, clicking GPT-4, you can choose the Advanced Data Analysis. It's a function that is in beta, But it allows basically to upload a file with data and let ChatGPT analyze that data for you. But actually, it's important to notice that this mode of working allows ChatGPT to create some Python script that will be used to analyze your files. So even if this functionality is thought mainly to analyze data, no one prevents you to upload a file and ask ChatGPT to do something with the content of the file that it's not analyzing the data, but maybe generating code. And here is the trick. I'm start creating a file called dbstructure.txt where I'm specifying table and some information about the table. As you can see, I've also wrote some specification like the type of the data I will want to use for columns. And ChatGPT is extremely smart in recognizing structure even for a structure test. So you see, I'm not using tab, anything. It's just text specifying how I want my database to be created. It's very simple. It's just write a text file. Now I can press the plus, so I can attach a file, and I can go on my temp directory and upload the dbstructure.txt document. It's a very simple document. It will be immediately uploaded. Now I will pass a prompt that actually tells this, C# entity framework. This allows me to select the context. The first token of the prompt will select the context on C# and entity framework. Uploaded file contains simple database structure. Design classes, entity framework, context, and unit test with unit. Please do not add extra properties. And I'm simply instructing how I want GPT to generate the code. Create an instance of customer. I'm going to specify the text, H. It's basically the very similar prompt as before, but I'm not including the schema of the database in the prompt. I've uploaded after I've enabled the advanced data analysis. And if I press send, something interesting happens because ChatGPT starts by examining the content of the uploaded file. And you can see that you have a very different interface where showWork shows the script, the Python script that actually it is creating to analyze the file. And so it starts analyzing, and then it simply read the content of the file. And after it read the content of the file, it starts using large language model capabilities to perform the very same operation as before, start generating code. Now you can see that it actually generates basically the same thing as before, my customer class, order class, blah, 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 and then stops and say, I will proceed to write a unit test and utility function as per request. Shall I proceed? Yes. It basically stops and it asks me yes to proceed. This is not this not happen always. Sometimes he goes on and write everything. Sometimes it will stop. It is the beautifulness of ChatGPT. The answer is not always the same, especially when you interact with the site and you are not able to set temperature. So I simply press yes, and it continues to generating stuff. And basically, as you can see, it is now working the very same as the previous prompt. So I've simply changed the method I use to instruct the ChatGPT because I've given the structure of the database in a file, and I'm asking him to use the file with the data analysis plugin. And you will see shorter why I'm using this kind of trick to have it generate code for me. Since we are working with a plugin for data analysis, one thing is important. This method of work for ChatGPT allows him to simply write Python script and executing those Python script to perform analysis. This will mean that this mode of working allows ChatGPT to interact with the system. So I can ask, now start writing all coding files. You will write code one file at a time, and then you will finally zip all the files in a single zip and let me download the result. So let's see what happens when I give him this instruction. And it is a great difference between the previous example because now it will happily complain to my instruction and start creating Python script to write the files. As you can see, it's very easy because it is not creating anything strange. It's simply create a Python script that include all the generated code and write to file, okay? And so it tells me I have created a customer C# file containing the customer class. Now let's proceed to create the order. And I say yes. So sometimes it works creating all the file at once. Sometimes it asks you for instruction to proceed. But basically it is simply creating simple Python script that will write code to files. So this is a nice method because I am able to ask him to write all the file for me and then finally generate all the file in a zip file so I can really download a nice set of files I can include in my project. And file after file, you can see that it gives me a final answer telling me that it created all the files, and then with the final yes, it will simply use a simple script that will zip all the file into a single zip file. So I can click and I've downloaded the file with all the data. So if I open the file, you can see you have all your C# file already downloaded, so you can take and insert into your project. So as you can see, you can really use this mode to let not only generate code for you, but also make that code downloadable in nice files. You can save sometimes specifying, please generate all the file without asking me for confirmation. So the ChatGPT, it does not always answer with the same set of code. And sometimes you give the same prompt and it will happily generate all the file for you without asking for confirmation for each file. But when you ask some kind of instruction where you say, now start writing the code in files, you will write one file at a time, sometimes it will tend to ask for confirmation before each step. It's just a way for it to be sure that it is going to the right path. So you can say, please generate all the file without asking me for confirmation. And that is usually a nice addition to the prompt because it will simply gives him the right to go and without asking for your information. So in this situation, it will start customer CS file and hopefully it will generate all the file without asking me for confirmation. Okay, so as you can see, you can use this prompt and then go doing something else and wait him to generate all the code for you without having to type yes each time. So in this kind of prompt, this kind of please generate without confirmation or prompt like do not ask for confirmation are perfect for having it write a lot of files without asking you yes each time. If you are curious why I've not give him a single instruction like please generate all the files, all the code file in a zip file, and instead I've explicitly instruct him to generate one file at a time, is because when it generates files, it is simply generating a Python script with the content of the file that simply got written to a file. If you don't give him an instruction to generate one file at a time, sometimes it creates a Python script with two length string with two length, and it will generate error. The script does not work. So it is always better when you generate code to ask him to generate one file at a time, and just as a final step, creating that zip with all the generated file. The situation, it's much more stable and you will encounter less error. To understand what I mean, let's try to see if writing a single prompt like please write all the code to files and then let me to download the zip file, it's okay. So it is not predeterministic. So sometimes it works, sometimes it does not work. So probably it could work, but the previous prompt is much more stable because asking to create one file at a time, it will make the Python script, the generated Python script, much more simpler. So, okay, now you see that it is writing everything. So it is trying to create the base dir, the zip file, and it's writing all the code into the Python script. But since there is a limitation in how long can be the script for it to be executed, sometimes it simply generate an error, sometimes not. But it is, you can try. Basically, you have no advantage in asking him to create a single Python script that will generate all the code, because in the final, you are only interested in downloading the zip file. So you can simply ask him to generate one file at a time. It is more stable. Now, let's see, probably it will go okay, even if I'm asking him to generate to generate the zip file with only one script. But remember, I had lots of time error because the Python script it's too large or it contains error. And since, as you can know, the demo effect always strike, it had generated everything correctly for me, and even separate tests and models in two distinct directory. So as you can see, you can also gives him a single prompt and letting him generate everything into a single Python script and generate a zip file. But the goal, the core important things you need to take in mind is this is the key, the advanced data analysis, because the advanced data analysis not only allows you to upload a file and ask GPT to analyze the file, but the trick is uploading a file with some data and then create a prompt that will use that data to make him generate code. But since you already selected advanced data analysis, ChatGPT now has the capability of executing Python code. So it can write files and then can let you download generated files. And this concludes the video. I hope you liked it, and I'm waiting you for the next one in the ChatGPT series. Goodbye. As a final addendum, I'll show you what sometimes happens. I've rerun the example, and this time it started packaging into a zip file, and it has an error because it appears there was an error because I forgot to import the OS module. So you see, it is really funny to interact with ChatGPT in this way because the result is not always the same. And in this situation, it simply forgot to include an OS module and it was not able to generate the file. But the super nice thing is if something got broken, so if there's an error, it will simply analyze the error, understand what's wrong in the generated script, and create the correct script that can zip the file for me. So it is very, very nice because when you ask him sometimes that is a little bit complex, you will see that it starts generating script and then the script got an error. It will try to fix and the script maybe got another error until it gives up after a lot of tentative, or it will succeed in doing what you are asking him to do. And it's very, very nice.